Where am I? Oh, we've heard these often. Lots of these are people's favorite verses where it tells us to trust in the Lord with all our heart. It tells us to lean not to our own understanding. It tells us to, in all our ways, acknowledge Him, and He'll direct our paths. It says, be not wise in your own eyes, but fear the Lord and depart from evil. So it's already telling us not to think in our mind about things, because we humans rationalize things all kinds of strange ways. However, so in verse 9, it says, to honor the Lord with thy substance and with the first fruits of all thine increase. So shall thy barns be filled with plenty, and thy presses shall burst out with new wine. The phrase I want this morning is to honor the Lord with your possessions. We talk about tithing, we talk about stewardship quite a bit, and how that needs to be our first, that needs to be our priority, that we pay the Lord what is His, the tithe, first of all, because our giving honors the Lord, and it's an act of worship. And we have to remember, it's an act of worship. It's not just a thing we do or a duty we fulfill and, pass it on, but it's an act of worship. And so we need to give it that honor. But to honor the Lord with your possessions, that's all of your possessions. And I think that's a really interesting concept, if we honor the Lord. How do we honor the Lord with everything we have, everything we call ours, And I think that might be different for everybody. But, do you honor the Lord, say, with your vehicle, with your car? How would you do that? One, you would take care of it. That's all our possessions. We need to take care of it. We honor the Lord with our possessions by making our bed, putting things away, hanging up our clothes, all of those things, right? I mean, we don't disregard them, throw them on the floor, do whatever, because we're honoring the Lord with them. But in our vehicles, maybe it's bringing someone to church, honoring the Lord with our house, inviting someone over for dinner, and that's honoring them with our food. There's a lot of ways we can honor God with our possessions. Sometimes it's serving Him through it, sometimes it's giving Him away, but it's going to look different, but we have to be guided by the Holy Spirit in that. And so that's, here we are talking, like I said, we're telling, in the author in chapter 3 is telling us not to trust in our own understanding, but in God and what He says and that. And then it tells us to honor Him with our possessions. So we need to work that out. We need to work that out for each one of us. And how do we honor God with our possessions? All right. All righty, let's receive the Lord's tithe this morning. Thank you, Donovan. Let's stand and bring the tithe. We will bring offering in a little bit.